Now, Monarch would still try to determine whether or not some kaiju are friendly or not, but there is without a doubt that Godzilla is not friendly. Dr. Serizawa in this timeline has realized that this Godzilla is not friendly. It's not protecting the natural order. To Dr. Serizawa, Godzilla is destroying it, but in reality, in Godzilla's eyes, the humans are destroying the natural order. Because we gotta remember, thanks to his time on Skull Island, Godzilla is able to determine who is threat and who is enemy, who is friend and who is enemy. And to him, humanity outside of Skull Island and in Hollow Earth, they are the real enemy. Meaning that Godzilla is going on a mass killing spree. He's killing off all of humanity. And we can even say that Monarch ended up having no other choice but to release Ghidorah. That's right, Monarch had no other choice but to release Ghidorah. Right, they had no other choice because Godzilla, there's no kaiju strong enough to propose a real challenge to Godzilla. Godzilla's not really killing off all the other kaiju, they're just following his orders. Now, once when Ghidorah awakens, he would immediately try to find, well, the Godzilla that he is familiar with. But when he finds -1 Godzilla, he'll be caught off completely off guard because this Godzilla is not his Godzilla. It looks similar to him, but it really is not his Godzilla. Godzilla and Ghidorah would eventually start fighting. Okay. And this is very interesting because both Ghidorah, monsterverse Ghidorah, and -1 Godzilla have extremely fast regeneration abilities. And I'm pretty sure once when both of these two realize that they both have really good regeneration abilities, it's like, so we're evenly matched. And this, folks, this is where sort of the big twist comes in. Godzilla and Ghidorah would team up. That's right, Godzilla would team up with Ghidorah. Because both Ghidorah and Godzilla have one thing in common. They hate humanity. They don't like humanity. And so, we could say that Ghidorah and Godzilla come up to some form of a truce. Ghidorah and Godzilla would start destroying everything. They would wake up all the other kaiju and they would start destroying everything. Monarch had officially realized that releasing Ghidorah was a bad idea. Because they just gave Godzilla a powerful ally. But thanks to the fight with Ghidorah and Godzilla, Monarch has realized that both Godzilla and Ghidorah have something in common. They have regeneration abilities. So Monarch will be trying to find a way to stop Godzilla's regeneration ability. And we could say that Mothra tries to stop both Godzilla and Ghidorah, but she's unsuccessful. Godzilla and Ghidorah will continue destroying until somewhere in 2020. In 2020, where Godzilla and Ghidorah are about to kill off the last batch of human resistance, Godzilla absorbs a lot of radiation during that time and thus becoming more powerful and more stronger. And he backstabs Ghidorah. That's right, Godzilla backstabs Ghidorah, and the two began their fight. For the first time, Mothra finally decides to help Godzilla, because for the past year she's been trying to stop Godzilla. But here, seeing that he's finally attacking Ghidorah, she would probably help him. And would Godzilla mind the backup? Probably wouldn't mind. And let's say that Mothra helps Godzilla -1 to turn into a burning form, or a thermonuclear form, or whatever the hell you guys want to call it. I would say burning form because it's accurate. Godzilla ends up killing Ghidorah, and Godzilla becomes the newly crowned king of monsters. However, during Godzilla and Ghidorah's onslaught of humanity, there's not much of humanity left. We can say that there's possibly somewhere around a couple thousand batches of humans left on the planet. That's right, there's only a couple thousand humans left on the planet. And it's all thanks to Godzilla and Ghidorah's alliance. Their alliance together changed a lot of things. Where unlike the other two versions, where Heisei Godzilla and Gojira end up killing Ghidorah, this Godzilla actually ended up joining forces with Ghidorah and ended up killing him only a year later. During the events of Godzilla Dominion, Godzilla allows certain kaiju to roam freely and do whatever they want, while other kaiju, such as Emlock trying to kill Behemoth, I'm pretty sure Godzilla sees Behemoth as a natural part of as a sort of provider of the natural order. So Godzilla would probably kill Emlock, because Emlock is a threat to the natural order. And leaving him alive would only cause more problems later on. Other kaiju, such as Tiamat and Skila, they would kind of be like Godzilla's allies. Instead of becoming enemies, they would become allies. At this point, humanity is trying to survive in a world where monsters are now calling the shots. There's only a couple thousand batches of humans left on the planet. And it's all because of Godzilla and Ghidorah's alliance. Their alliance changed everything. And so, the world is very different now. The kaiju are calling the shots, and humans have no say in it. Humans are forced to accept the kaiju as the sole rulers. Now, there will be those who try to resist, but they will eventually get destroyed. Now, what about Apex? Would Apex still be trying to stop the kaiju? Surprisingly, yes, and this is where another big twist happens. Monarch would actually be trying to help Apex. At this point, Godzilla is not protecting the natural order, he's destroying it. At least to them. Godzilla, in reality, is actually making the planet better. At least to him and the other kaiju. So Apex and Monarch would actually join forces. But yeah, Godzilla Dominion would turn out very differently. There's only a couple batches of, a couple small batches of humanity left on the planet. Yeah, things are not looking well for humanity in this timeline. Now what about Godzilla vs. Kong? This is where the biggest twist happens. Monarch has been successful on slowing down Godzilla's regeneration ability. All they have to do is get Godzilla to get Godzilla to eat this or inject this into Godzilla. This is where Monarch and Apex have the idea to use Kong as an ally. Apex escorts Kong to Hollow Earth and is successful on finding Kong the Battle Axe and finding the Hollow Earth energy source. Monarch would try to inform Apex that it's not such a good idea, because they don't know how it will affect the mecha. But since Monarch is helping G-Force in this timeline, Apex in this timeline, Apex will not use the head of Ghidorah. Because let's say that some Monarch scientists discover that the fact that Ghidorah is basically still alive, even in death. His DNA refuses to die. In fact, Ghidorah would still remember what he would do, and he would remember Godzilla's betrayal and try to take him down. And so, Apex will not use Ghidorah's head, and they would not... Well, they would probably use the Hollow Earth energy source, but I highly doubt that the energy source would make the mecha act all weird and haywire. If anything, it would give the mecha an unlimited supply of energy. And with Kong by Mechagodzilla's side, the two confront Godzilla and begin to fight him. Kong was able to give Godzilla an injury, giving Monarch and Apex the opportunity to fire the injection into Godzilla. And it works. Godzilla's regeneration is slowing down. Godzilla realizes this and tries to make a getaway. He tries to escape, but Mechagodzilla and Kong stop him. And together the two are able to take down Godzilla. They were finally able to kill Godzilla. And now there is a new king. Kong is the king of the monsters now. And at first, everything looks to be going back to normal. Kong's putting all the other kaiju in their place, and everything is going fine. That is until parts of Godzilla's body parts start to regenerate and start fusing together and recreating Godzilla into a more powerful form. Godzilla is back. He's not only stronger than ever, but he's more powerful. This is where Godzilla X Kong Hunted takes place. In this timeline, Godzilla is keeping a very low profile. He wants to catch humanity off guard. He wants to catch both humanity and Kong off guard. So he spends the past few years absorbing radiation and getting more stronger and more powerful by the minute. This is where the events of Godzilla X Kong the New Empire take place. Godzilla makes his way into the Hollow Earth searching for a new ally. Godzilla finds this new ally in the form of Scar King. Scar King mistakes Godzilla for his Godzilla, and the two would fight, with Godzilla possibly coming out as the victor. Now, we can say that Godzilla makes some form of a deal with Scar King, and we can even say that Scar King agrees with the deal. Godzilla will lead his new army of monsters with Scar King, his army, and Shimo by his side. They make their way towards the surface. And there's where the ultimate battle begins, with Godzilla finally revealing himself to humanity for the first time in years.